Hi everyone, this is Gail Foster from Century 21 South Coast and welcome to another one of my videos. This one is to help buyers, to give them all sorts of helpful information on what to do when buying a home. Whether you have bought a house before or not, it is good to know what to do today if you're thinking of buying, because regulations change from time to time. So in this webinar, we're going to be looking at what you can afford, where do you want to live, how will you find that property, and how do you make an offer? What other costs are involved? Please bear in mind this is general information only, and it is to be used as a guide. In South Australia, I am legally required to give you this warning. You should assess the suitability of any purchase of the land or business in light of your own needs and circumstances by seeking independent financial and legal advice. Great, now that we've got that out of the way, the very first thing you should do when you're wanting to buy a home is to find out what you can afford. Now, the best way to do that is to go and see a mortgage broker. Sit down with them, go through all of your expenses that you have from month to month, and they will be able to work out what you can afford. You may want to do this quick finance check yourself. For example, if you're buying a house at $400,000 and you've saved up $20,000, you then have a 95% loan to value ratio. Take the amount of your loan and multiply that by 7. Now, why do we use 7? That's because banks and other lenders generally try to work out whether you can afford a 7 or even 8% interest rate, regardless of what sort of low interest rate we may be on at the moment. So you take that 380, multiply by 7, and your monthly loan repayments will be $26.60. Then you multiply that by 36. The reason for that is that your mortgage repayments should only be about a third of your annual income. So your $26.60 times 36 gives you an annual income of around about $95,000. So that's what you need to be able to afford a $400,000 house. Apart from the affordability, there are a number of other things to look at, such as what other debts have you got? Are there any credit issues, repayment defaults? Perhaps you're self-employed. So there's a number of things you need to look at apart from just whether you can afford to do the repayments. There are all sorts of documents your mortgage broker is going to require to be able to assess accurately what you can afford. You will need 2 pay slips if you're employed. You will need home loan statements, credit card statements, any other personal loan statements, information about family assistance benefit, for example, or any other Centrelink benefits. Gather all of these documents together before you go and see your mortgage broker, and you will have a much quicker and easier assessment of what you can actually afford. What sort of property are you looking for? The location could be important to you, the number of bedrooms and bathrooms, whether you need a great big kitchen, lots of outdoor space. So once you've got your list of your ideal home, then prioritize it. Start with number 1 naturally for the most important. The reason for this is that most of us have got champagne taste on a lemonade income, so there's going to be compromises. Start looking on the internet then to see if you can actually afford what you want, and start going to open inspections to see what is on offer in your price range. This is a very handy little property matchmaker which will help you to give the homes that you look at a score out of 10. So you write the address of each property. This allows for up to 5 properties, as you can see. Maybe the location is 10 out of 10, but perhaps the affordability is only 5 out of 10. So once you go through all of the homes that you've looked at, it will help you see which one comes out on top. One of the most important pieces of information that I give to buyers is not to be too restrictive in the area that you're looking to live. For example, this house at Cadell Street in Seaview Downs in South Australia, it was pretty tired. It was an old 1960s home. It had old wallpaper falling off the walls, needed a complete makeover, but it sold for $416,000. The couple that I know who were looking to buy in Seaview Downs decided to take my advice and they look just a little bit further afield. I think the home that they bought in O'Halloran Hill was only about 6 or 7 minutes drive away from their preferred area of Seaview Downs. So they bought a house that was built in the 90s and had had further renovations done. It was a much bigger home, 2 living areas, 4 bedrooms on a lovely big block, and they were very, very happy with their purchase. So it's wise to take that advice and don't be too restrictive on your preferred area. Now, what about making an offer? A lot of people like to use just this single offer form because they find it's easy. They don't want to take the bother to sit down and write up a 12 or 13 page contract. But remember, this is a very, very important purchase, and you really do need to put in the time and effort that it takes to make sure you get your contract in. We can write down your offer on these single page forms, but they are not binding on anyone, not on you and not on the vendor. So even if the vendor says they'll accept your offer, they can accept another offer because this one is not a legal contract. One of the most unattractive offers that you can make to a vendor is to purchase their property subject to the sale of another property. They don't like it because they don't know how long it's going to take for you to actually sell your house, or if it's going to sell at all. So the way to get around that is to talk to your broker about getting a bridging loan. This allows you to borrow money to buy the house you want and then sell your own home later. Other expenses involved in the purchase of a home are things like stamp duty. Now, this is a list of stamp duties in South Australia, and for the $400,000 house that we were considering on our earlier slide, you'd be looking at a stamp duty on the conveyance of nearly $16,500 and then a registration fee as well of $2,800. So you're looking at close to $20,000 just in extra expenses to purchase that home. Once you have secured your home by contract, your next step in South Australia is the Form 1 or vendor statement. Now, this is simply a legal document that is drawn up and is signed by the agent and by the vendor to say that they have done all the necessary searches related to that property and all of the pertinent information is declared in this form. You then have 2 clear working days to read it all, ask any questions you need to ask, find out any extra information you need to find out. Once those 2 clear working days have expired, your deposit becomes due and payable. The next step in the process is conveyancing. Now, your conveyancer will be your representative in the legal side of the transaction. But the vendor will also have a conveyancer, and it's usually a different one from yours. So the conveyancer ensures that the property is actually legally transferred from the vendor to you, and they protect your interest in the transaction. In South Australia, we also have to do a verification of identity. You will need to have a face-to-face meeting with your conveyancer, and there's a list of documents here that you'll need to take with you so that they can verify your identity. We're getting close now, so your purchasing checklist is another handy form. So it's exciting, you've purchased your property, you have to organise insurance cover, nominate the conveyancer of your choice, of course, pay your deposit, make sure you get your finance approval on time. And then when you're moving into the property, here's another very handy checklist for you. So what's the next thing you should do? Go back and pause each slide and read the information in more detail. You can print out the slides if you like, because that property matchmaker could be very helpful. Or just contact me. I can email you a PDF, or I can even print it out for you and send you the slides in a booklet form. If you'd like to talk to a mortgage broker or a conveyancer, their contact details are on the relevant slides. And if you'd like to talk to me further, perhaps ask any particular questions that I've not covered here, please phone me on 0410 484 376 or email me, gail@century21southcoast.com.au. I'm always happy to help. Happy house hunting, and I hope you find this Home Buyer's Handbook really helpful.